We're going to talk about our sectioning for haircuts, haircutting. Okay, so we are going to talk about this is just going to be an intro into haircutting. I'm going to just act as if like you guys know nothing about haircutting because it's not fair for me to make assumptions based off of your level of education. It's not fair for me to make assumptions based off of the level of your haircutting skills, what you've seen, what you've been exposed to, and like I said, selfishly, I get to teach you my way. So we're gonna do it my way. And you know what? When you become a veteran, you can do it however way you wanna do it, you know? But I'm gonna tell you all my little tips. I am a huge advocate in addressing the feature of the haircut first in the haircut. Meaning, if you're sitting there doing a consultation and your client, first thing they said is, I want some curtain fringe and I want it here. You know that that's the most important part, right? And they show you some crazy character fringe that's like Sabrina Carpenter or some whatever, right? That's gonna be your focus, right? That'll be your focus for the haircut. Or if they're like, I want a wolf cut and I want layers that literally start here and go to right here. That's what you're gonna fucking cut first, okay? Yes, not always cutting the perimeter first is the approach, not always. 95% of the time, yeah, we cut the perimeter first because clients like, I'm thinking I only want to take 2 inches off, right? That's most commonly what comes out of their mouth. I only want to take an 1.5 inches off. Or I do want a big chop. My hair's down here, but I'm thinking we should do something like right here-ish, right? That's when we're going to start with the perimeter. I'm not going to teach you a wolf cut today. I'm not going to teach you Sabrina Carpenter fringe today. What I'm going to teach you is the 90% that comes in that you're going to start, right? So,
I just want to trim.
Yes. What do I do with my freaking comb, Lauren? Right here. Oh. So we just talked about our sectioning. More often than not, I visualize haircuts into 4 sections. Section 4, even if they have a combination cut, meaning let's say they are a concave layer from the occipital down, and then they are a square layer from the occipital up, or some kind of disconnection. It's easier for me to see if I isolate the section in my mind because I have more controllable space to visualize, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I can see where that haircut disconnects right here, probably falls right here, right? Or I can see that top layer of disconnection or whatever it is. So I like to visualize in 4 quadrants. Even if I don't have clips out, in my mind, I'm cutting in 4 quadrants, okay? So there's 3 basic geometries to hair cutting. We know that. They are square, round, and triangular, right? Triangular is this way. So triangular is this way, with the shortest piece being in the back, longest piece being in the front. Square, square. You wanna know where the longest piece is on a square? Longest piece in a square is behind the ear.
Yeah, because it's straight down.
Because we are doing boom, hard edge, boom. That's a square, okay? Everyone's like, oh, it's the same. No, it's not. That's a modified round is what we're cutting most often the time. When we take this guide and cut, take this guide and cut, take this guide and cut. Why? Because we're following the round shape of the head, right? That's just a gentle round. A round, in theory, is longest in the back, shortest in the front, okay? So ideally a square is same length here in the center back of the head as it is here, center in front of the ear. That's a square with a corner meeting right here, okay? So when we start elevating these geometries is when we start creating either graduation or some kind of layering. But for simplicity's sake, we're only going to talk about the perimeter because the perimeter is what we're cutting first more often than not. If you see a tapered look in the front, a lot of heavy layering, you see this cut on my Instagram a lot. It's called the Via, and it was taught to me by one of the most amazing hair cutters I've ever met. But it includes what's called a triple action cutting system. So not only are we cutting perimeter, right? Not only are we using projection and over direction, we are now using finger positioning inside of that projection or over direction to create the third movement of the portion of hair cutting. So we're not gonna talk about triple action, but it does progress, right? So we're starting fundamentals. Everything right now is gonna be at 0 elevation, 0 projection. We are going to let gravity do its job, have our client sit up nice and straight. I always have the drape over the back of the chair, or I prefer even to have them stand, right? Because this is how their haircut is going to be seen. We want to make sure that their body positioning and weight distribution is even, right? So I will show you a triangular, how to cut a triangular one length. In fact, I'm going to move this to right here. So triangular one length is longest where?
Wait, the front.
Yep. I've seen a lot of triangular one lengths lately that don't look like Karen hair. It's gradual. It's like very subtle. In fact, I have a picture of a long triangular one length on my Instagram. Yes, and she's gorgeous. You would not know that she's longer in the front than she is in the back. Let me see.
Like whoever's gonna go first.
I know who's gonna get her first. It's her. She's a triangular one length. Actually tapered her corner just a little bit. You can see she's longer here than she is in the back, right? So look at her front photo, like from the face. Yes, look at how gorgeous she is.
Yeah.
That's a long triangular one length. Here, let me show this is a long triangular one length. I hope you can see that. Yeah, long triangular one length. Right, how gorgeous is that? So a long triangular one length literally can be done like this. Is also condensed cutting. But ugh.
No, good. That was a good. Ugh.
Oh.
That's like when you call something sick and it's like that. It's really good.
Fired, dope, sick.
The new language.
Yes. Okay, so condensed cutting, you want to make sure that you have your hair evenly groomed. Of course, this bad girl is going to give me some trouble because she's a rebel and she's 15 years old. She's like, I'm too fucking old to get my hair cut. What are you talking about? I'm a relic. I'm a museum article. I'm a piece of history. That's a triangular one length.
Because you're pulling the front back.
Yes.
To make it longer.
Yes. It teaches us or other cutting systems to be like, if it's not dramatic, it's not a triangular one length. No, that's a triangular one length. That's not a one length. Because if I were to measure this, just even turning it,
You can see.
Yes. Look at.
I think I did that and I didn't even
Boom.
realize that's what it was called.
That's it. Can this bad boy see it? Look. Are we too far down or no? We can see it. But look it. That's a triangular one length, right? Easy. Let's talk about a square one length. Right, perimeter, so that I'm definitely going to be parting into my 4 quadrants. Even with my level of experience, I part for a square one length. If I want it the same length all the way around, or if I really want a square one length, in fact, one of the most popular cuts that we're seeing right now with a square one length is the mob boss wife, the mob wife. Have you seen the mob wife blowout? It's usually this long and has really condensed layers right here. You blow them out and they're like full and thick, and she's got this heavy fringe, you know what I mean? That's like super long, and like she has those condensed layers in the back that are just like all blowout-y and touchable, a lot of movement. That actually has corners on it. That haircut has corners right here over the shoulder. So, I know, so cool. But this is how I do that. So we start by sectioning out our 2 front sections, get them away, so we're not fucking with those. So if you like, don't stab your client in the back of the head like I just did. All right, so.
I used to always just hit him in the head. Hilarious.
Somebody, no. Square one length. Mind you, even if I travel this back, there is a little bit of travel and distance, right? So it's not going to be exactly a square one length, but I can still start from the center. So as far as my tension is concerned, I'm not at maximum tension. The reason I'm not at maximum tension is because if I pull hair while it's wet, it what? Do not pull at maximum tension. In fact, if this was a freshly colored global platinum blonde, I would do the whole thing dry. Because the elasticity after a blonding service is so great that once you blow dry it, it shrinks up and you're like, what the fuck? Like, why is my hair cut like that, right? So what I did was I'm now, in my mind, creating vertical panels just like this. I'm cutting with precision, medium tension. My fingers are not like this. If I do this with my fingers, it is going to project that hair out, and her hair will constantly be sticking out, which with a mob boss blowout is incorrect. Why? Because the mob boss look, even though it sits at the awkward length of the shoulder, it still kicks in, okay? So we don't want to give that thing any unfair advantage to do some inappropriate angle projections, so we are going to make sure that we are cutting straight down or inside your comb, right? I like this wide tooth comb because it does not pull or stretch the hair. Okay, I'm going to take another vertical section. In my mind, I'm seeing that vertical section, using the previous section as my guide, pulling it straight down, cutting straight across, right? Pulling straight down, cutting straight across, straight down, straight across. Mind you, the more vertical, or I'm sorry, more horizontal your elbows are, elbow to finger, the straighter your haircut will be. I get to cheat a little bit because I have swivel thumbs, so I could literally just cut like this, right? My wrist can stay down and flat. If you don't have swivel thumbs, you're gonna be cutting like this. What I'm focusing on is just this 1 inch right here every time I cut, okay? I'm not trying to cut everything that's in the comb. I'm literally only just trying to cut what's inside of that comb. Okay, here's where we check our balance. Listen to this when I say this. You will feel balance before you see it. You will feel balance before you see it every single time. I don't even have to look. And the left side is shorter than the right, just by a millimeter. And that's crazy to me. Feel it. I want you guys to stand right behind it, stand up straight, and pull your fingers all the way down. Look straight ahead. That's a millimeter. That's a hard balance to find if you're not attuned to feeling balance.
Well, especially if you pull it to the front, it'll throw off the whole.
This finger slides off first.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they taught us.
Stand up straight, both weight on both feet. Yep.
Always
Look straight forward.
Look away. Barely.
Yep. Cut your section, check your balance. Cut your section, check your balance. Cut your section, check your balance, okay?
Don't wait till the end.
Mm-mm. No, do not wait till the end. That's the worst thing to do.
Yeah, that's the only time I've ever done it. And then
Is checking your balance at the end?
Yeah, and then you have to go all the way back.
Well, that's how they say to do it at school. Yeah.
So what I'm looking for now is where does that length drop down? And it is literally right here. And this is all the same. Yeah, so I'm gonna move from my shortest angle to my longest, finding where that length extends itself to create some perfection. I'm not just gonna go in and cut that corner that feels longer. I'm gonna find at what point did my guide start to travel down. Right there is where my length grows. You see that? Okay. Still a smidge. Okay. Now we're going to turn the head. This is a square 1 length, right? If she has no fringe, no face framing, or if you're just starting with the perimeter first and adding fringe and face framing later, what you want to do is make sure that the center of this section right here is the exact same length as it is right here. That's our goal, okay? We are keeping in mind that anything that falls right here should technically be just a smidge longer than what falls right here, because we are creating a square. Right, there's a corner. Squares have corners. Circles don't. So I'm standing with my shoulders perpendicular to my client, correct? My belly button is tight, my core is tight, my shoulders are back, and I am steady and stable. I'm using this corner right here as my longest point of my guide, cutting 1 inch at a time. I'm focusing right here, right? 1 inch at a time. Yep, you can see the corner now.
Yeah, it is.
But you can design the face framing, the fringe to look however you want to look. I most often do face framing and fringe once it is dry. There we go. Boom. We'll do the other side. I'm going to check my balance. So I'm taking the center of those sections. I can check the corners feel good. And now I'm moving my hands, shifting them at a 90 from the head, balance. Okay? That's how we're checking our square. We're checking the corners and we're checking the center. We're going to turn to the other side. You can see. So I can do this 2 ways, right? I can do it in my comb, which is probably going to be best for you up front as you're learning, because more often than not, new rookie mistake is rounding your hands like this, showing yourself the hair, right? Technically, that's like a minute graduation. We don't want that. We don't want the hair to kick out. Okay? So this way, that's our corner, or 1 inch at a time. Surprisingly enough, I'm sure you guys could probably understand this. You have enough experience to understand that a 1 length, a solid 1 length, is almost harder to do than any other haircut, right? What was that?
It's one of the hardest ones I tell you.
Yep.
Which is funny because I think I don't think that only because I'm not confident in doing the other ones. Like I don't fully know until we're doing all this.
Okay, so this is all balanced right here. So we have a square 1 length now, right? And this has a corner right here. Make sure we're still good on that. There we are. So that's a square 1 length. So we've done triangular, we've done square. Brought it a little bit shorter on the right side.
I was gonna say, I think
Yeah, it is. Oh yeah, I see it. Because here's the actual length right there. And I'm cutting in comb too, which is not my normal, right? You see where my hand positioning is? See how my fingers are one in front of the other, almost like I've had my fingers crossed, right? To pull that straight down. Okay, so that's your square 1 length. Round. My favorite thing to do with round is I'll cut a very rough square one length, or I'll even do a triangular one length, whatever I gotta do to get the back in the center, my guide length. I think more often than not I do a triangular, yeah. So more often than not, if I'm trying to do a round one length, the thing that I have to warn my clients about with this specific haircut is when it's down behind your back, it feels long because it goes to like right here. As soon as you split it and fold it, pull it forward, it loses length because it's traveling forward now, and it feels like it's right here and not right here. So that way when they pull it forward, they're like, you cut like 9 inches off. No girl, I cut 4. And when you travel that longest piece forward, it loses length and it feels shorter, right? So, but as soon as I pull it forward, it's gonna be this length right here. And they're like, okay, I can visualize it, I got it. Or they're like, no, that's actually not what I want. And then instead I'm like, okay, so instead of this really tapered look in the front, I suggest we do like a square one length, something like that, right? To leave some length in the front. So my favorite thing to do before doing a round one length is just bringing all the hair back, cutting my guide right here above the nape, my comb to create a parting centered right down the back, right? And then I can start pulling that forward. I'm going to turn her. Mind you, a round one length is longest where? In the back, and it's shortest in the front. This round one length is a great perimeter choice for anybody who wants face framing. Okay? So this is the projection, okay? I'm standing at a 90 from my client's shoulder, right? Body positioning is straight. I'm taking my longest point, which is my nape, or you can take the nape or anything up to the ear, okay? Nape or anything up to the ear. If you take the nape and connect it to the shortest point in the fringe, that's a true round. If you move your guide to the back of the ear and are cutting at the shortest point of the face framing, this is technically a square from here behind the ear and a round from forward up.
Because that's where your longest point is in a square.
So this would technically be a combination cut of a square one length and a round one length. But for dramatization, right, we're going to do a true round one length perimeter, and I'm going to use my nape as my longest point, and I'm going to connect it to wherever she's like, I want my face framing here, I want a chin, which would be like a mullet. That would be the perimeter foundation for like a wolf or something like that, right? But let's just say she wants her face framing right there, right? So around one length would be just connecting the 2 points forward, and I'm just going to start cutting a straight line 1 inch at a time, right? Look at my swivel thumbs, how great, like, makes that mobility and that range of motion super easy.
So if she wanted like up here, you would just do the same thing, match it to that?
I am just connecting the dots at this point, based off of the request of the client.
The face frame ones, like once I get to the point in that haircut, that always is like the scariest part, because it's like gets ugly before it gets pretty.
Absolutely.
So it's like, cutting so much.
Yeah. And that's why when they look at the ground, they're like, you cut 4 inches off of the face framing, not the back. Your length is still there.
And you want to connect from the back to the front. You don't want to cut your front piece to wherever it is and then connect the dots.
I move from left to right most often.
Okay.
But watch this. So what I'm going to do is now pull my guide here, cut it. You see that? Now I can start taking my cutting line from either the back to the front. If you want to cut from back to front, you can, or you can cut from front. So my caution to you is, if you're cutting from front to back, is make sure your shears angle gives grace. Because if you are at a horizontal, you're going to cut a straight line into the back of that perimeter, and now your haircut's got to get 4 inches shorter, right? So when in doubt, give a little bit of leeway, over project your shears, and you are essentially just looking for corners to cut at that point. So we're pulling everything forward. Always bring your section to your cutting line and never your cutting line to your section, because then that changes the projection of your cutting line. Okay, so there's where my length falls out. I see that massive corner right there. My length just fell out, right?
That's you giving grace.
Yep, that's me giving grace. Exactly.
Now you go in and just cut whatever.
Yep, cut those corners off, right? Here we go. So what I would do with this specific look or haircut is I would blow dry it. I would take my texturizing shears and I would soften the weight line, meaning I'd cut into that perimeter down there. And then I would pull, once it's dried, pull a little triangle out here And instead of leaving the weight line, this is Sabrina Carpenter if it was up here, but it's not. I'm just gonna taper that just a little bit with some slide cutting to soften that edge from the center of my triangle down. You see that? You can do that with thinning shears, you can do it with 5-inch, 6-inch, 7-inch, whatever it is. We just don't want a heavy weight line right there, right? And you always are gonna go back and customize once the hair is dry and refine. There's a corner right there. There's a corner right there. So round one lengths, because of the angle of cutting, are also, as you can see, very difficult, but it makes it less difficult if you're checking your balance all the way through the haircut, okay? So those are your 3 basic perimeters. That's the foundation to get you started with almost any haircut. You just have to decide, what does this look like, right? And mind you how we talked about a combination cut from the ear back. It's square or straight in the back and then round in the front, right? Or if that rounded look starts from right back here, if it V's in the back, that's a true round.
Okay.
If it's straight in the back, that's a square with a combination round in the front, okay? All right, let's talk about our blow dry systems.